Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toys Escapades channel in Malaysia. Mondo had some really big announcements at STCC 2024, and one of the key highlights, especially for MOTU fans all over the planet, was the announcement of the return of the action figures from the 2000X universe, and in 6-inch scale, no less. Now, every single die-hard MOTU fan knows of the 2000X universe, but for anyone who's tuning in and is not aware of this particular moment in pop culture history for He-Man and friends, let's do a short and fun recap here. Back in 2002, Mattel decided to reboot their He-Man and the Masters of the Universe brand by introducing a then modern-day update of the character in both toy and cartoon form. This He-Man had a younger, grittier look and was built for both a post-grunge generation of 20-something adults who grew up on the character in the 80s and also for a new kid audience who were transitioning from things like Batman Beyond in the late 90s and beginning to discover stuff on Cartoon Network. The main plotline of this new He-Man universe was fully fleshed out in the accompanying animated series, which lasted 3 seasons and is, in my opinion, by far the single most well-developed and entertaining piece of He-Man visual media in any medium. Now, this is as good as it gets, and if you only invest your time in one He-Man series out of all of the different cartoon versions released over the 4 decades, even counting the 80s original, if you can only invest your time in one, just one, make sure it's this one. Aside from the cartoon, Image Comics was also responsible for a huge part of the MOTU revival in 2002. If you guys collected comics during the late 2001 to mid-2002 period, you'll know that there was a major 80s revival taking place in full swing, with G.I. Joe, Thundercats, and Transformers all experiencing blockbuster comic sales. Masters of the Universe also had a massive, nostalgia-driven sales debut for their 2000X comic. There were several variants made for issue 1, but this one featuring a wraparound painted cover by Earl Norem is my favorite. The interior pages feature jaw-dropping artwork by artist Emiliano Santalucia, who also has a long history working on the MOTU figure designs for Mondo. The art in the book was in fact consistently awesome, but the main area in which the series fell short was in the storyline and especially with the very stilted dialogue. The biggest contributor to MOTU's early 2000s relaunch was the new toy line from Mattel. He-Man was back for a whole new generation with a younger and angrier demeanor, featuring all new dynamic sculpting from the 4 Horsemen who were formerly with McFarlane Toys. All of He-Man's familiar bad guys were back too, with new looks, and in the case of Skeletor, with the tiniest head ever seen on the Lord of Destruction yet, okay? I bet you were not expecting that. Now, 2000X gave us something close to McFarlane level sculpting on what was essentially meant to be a kids' fantasy adventure toy series. Sadly, these were also some of the most breakable toys of all time. If you collected them, you'll know what I'm talking about. The figures were now bigger at a 6-inch scale, and even the weapons and accessories were scaled up. I'll always have a soft spot for the 2000X toys because I was in my 20s at the time, working my first job at the cinema, and for the first time ever, there were new He-Man toys in stores that I could purchase with my own money instead of having to pester my parents for them like we all did when we were kids. Now, Mattel pushed the line hard with figures, action gimmicks, vehicles, creatures, and playsets, but sadly, after 2 years, and mostly due to poor distribution, interest faded and the line was cancelled. I will say that despite their best efforts, they could never get kids to be on board for the new show or the toys, but maybe a part of them knew that already. After all, promotional ads for the new toys that ran in a lot of the comics and action figure magazines of the time featured the ferocious face of the new He-Man and paired it with the slogan, "Still kicking ass," which was cool, but not quite for kiddies, I would say, and as a lot of moms out there would certainly point out as well. Clearly, the marketing campaign was aimed at an older audience that grew up with the character and were now investing in action figures again thanks to Spawn and the horror and fantasy figures that McFarlane was putting out. So a company like Mondo making premium-styled 6-inch scale figures of the MOTU 2000X line definitely has the right idea, as only adults will be buying this stuff up. But at Mondo's famously high-end prices, is this something that even we can afford to go all in on? Now, prior to this, Mondo have been famous for their large 12-inch scale figures, and when it comes to MOTU, their renditions have been the best versions of these characters ever captured in plastic. For example, what you're seeing here on screen is possibly the best toy version of He-Man that's ever been made. And I love how they always give you a shot where they show you the neatly arranged breakdown of everything the figure comes with. They've done the same thing here with the 2000X He-Man, except that it's in 3D renders, but you can see that he comes with a lot of stuff. Aside from a fully articulated and very detailed body, which by the way, I'm guessing that involves actual fur elements being used on his loincloth and boots. Now we also have an entire array of weapons. Everything that we got with Mattel's 2000X He-Man figure is here. The brand new redesigned power sword, the giant battle axe and shield, and then we also get two more swords, a classic style power sword and another one that looks like the 2000X sword but closed up. We also get swappable emblems for his chest armor. You can have a look featuring the Iron Cross if you wish. And then lastly, we have 3 more additional sets of hands and 4 face portraits. Okay, as of now, we don't have clearer pictures of the other He-Man heads here, but you can bet that one of them at least will be snarling, alright? And maybe even one that's laughing. Now, have there been other He-Man figures that offered multiple accessories and face portraits over the years? Well, yes. Super 7 have in fact done several of these, but this is the first time since 2002 that we have a company that wants to do an entire line of figures that are solely dedicated to the MOTU figures of that era. Now, in terms of scaling, Mondo's 2000X figures stand at the 1/12 scale mark, making them about 6 inches tall, which places them at a similar height to Mattel's original 2000X figures, and this will also allow collectors to have them in a scale that perfectly measures up to most of the standard figures in the market, especially against those from Hasbro. By comparison, Mattel's current range of MOTU Masterverse figures come in at about 7 inches in height, and these are far bigger when placed up on a display shelf. No official details are available on pricing just yet, as the 6-inch scale is something new for Mondo and which they are aggressively pursuing. They have also announced a 6-inch scale line of real Ghostbusters figures that come in a 2-pack featuring 1 Ghostbuster and 1 Ghost character and packed with accessories all around. Now these figures are confirmed to be about $100, so using that as a comparison, the new MOTU 2000X line might be anywhere between $50 to $70. What do you guys think? Either way, collecting the line is going to be steep. The 2000X line has a special appeal that cannot be denied and has been revisited time and time again throughout the years, most recently for its 20th anniversary in 2022, where Mattel released a pair of Origin-style 2000X figures of He-Man and Skeletor. I was fortunate to have the first review on YouTube for both of these figures, and while their renditions are not spot on, they are very nice additions to the collection, and I was hoping for a lot more from the series. 2000X has given us some of the very best character versions from MOTU. For instance, the 2000X Beastman is still the version that comes to mind first for me over any other incarnation of the character. Also, for other characters such as Clawful, which honestly is the only version that's ever needed, and for some others like Whiplash, they give us such an awesome redesign that no other version of the character is ever required, ever again. Now, Mondo have teased some upcoming figures as well, such as Many Faces and Buzz Off. But what are the 2000X versions that you guys are most looking forward to? Sound off in the comments below and let me know. Share your thoughts on the video as well and what you guys think of these new announcements from Mondo. And I'll talk to you guys again real soon. Thank you and take care out there.